This parable of Jesus will open your eyes today. You know that feeling of hearing something but not really understanding it? That's exactly how millions of people live today. They hear advice, they hear sermons, they hear teachings, but nothing truly changes. What if I told you that the problem isn't in the message, but in how you're receiving it? That's right. You might be blocking the greatest blessings of your life without even realizing it. Jesus knew this over 2,000 years ago, and that's why he told parables, simple stories that carry truths so profound they can turn your life upside down. The parable we're exploring today isn't just another beautiful Bible story, it's a precise diagnosis of your heart at this exact moment. And I guarantee you, when you understand what Jesus truly meant, you'll look at your life in a completely different way. Here's a truth that might make you uncomfortable. It's not God who is distant from you. It's you who has a closed heart. Shocking, maybe, but it's real. God saw your pain. He heard every desperate prayer. He saw every tear rolling in the middle of the night. When everything seemed lost, when you thought you were alone, He was there. God acts in silence, but we make so much noise that we can't perceive it. And then comes that frustration. Why aren't my prayers being answered? Why doesn't my life change? The answer lies in this parable that Jesus told. And it will show you exactly where the problem is, and more importantly, how to solve it. Most people think spirituality is about going to church, saying memorized prayers, following rituals. But Jesus came precisely to break this superficial thinking. He wanted people with transformed hearts, not people with robotic behavior. Faith in Jesus Christ isn't about religion. It's about a real, deep, transformative relationship. It's about allowing God to work in the most hidden areas of your being, those you don't even like to look at. You are not alone. God is with you, Boot. He won't invade your heart by force. He knocks on the door and waits for you to open it. And this parable is exactly about that, about having an open, prepared, receptive heart. Because what good does it do for God to plant seeds of wisdom, peace, and purpose in your life if the soil of your heart is too hard for them to sprout? Stay with me until the end, because what you're going to discover here might be the turning point you've been waiting for. It's not an empty promise. It's not superficial self-help, it's biblical truth. Tested for millennia that continues to change lives to this day. When God speaks to the heart, He doesn't speak to condemn you. He speaks to free you. The tears God sees today are the seeds of your transformation tomorrow. Heaven is silent, but God is acting behind the scenes of your story, preparing something you can't even imagine. God sustained me in moments when I thought I wouldn't make it, and He will sustain you too. But first, you need to understand this parable. You need to see with the eyes of your heart, and that's what we're going to do now, together. Ready? Let's go. It's introduction about seeing God's work. There are days when we wake up and feel that tightness in our chest. You know, it's as if everything is too heavy, as if the whole world conspires against our peace. The person looks to the side, looks ahead, and can't see any way out. It's at this moment that a feeling of deep loneliness hits, even if the house is full of people. But here's a truth that few stop to reflect on. When everything seemed lost, when you thought no one was watching you, God saw your pain. That's right. He saw every tear rolling on the pillow, every choked sigh, every prayer murmured softly in the middle of the night. You are not alone. God is with you, even when it seems like heaven is silent. It's like that child who falls and gets hurt. But when the mother arrives and hugs them, the pain seems to lessen, not because the injury disappeared, but because they know they're not alone anymore. The thing is that we live in such a noisy society, so full of information and distractions, that we've lost the ability to see what's essential. Think about it. How many times have you spent all day on your phone, watching videos, reading news, chatting in groups, and at the end of the day felt that strange emptiness? It's because we're feeding the mind but letting the heart starve. And it's precisely in the heart that God wants to speak. When God speaks to the heart, it's not with shouts or with flashy signs, always, sometimes. It's a whisper so soft that only those who stop to listen can perceive it. Imagine you're at a crowded party, loud music, everyone talking at the same time, and someone tries to tell you an important secret. If you don't step away from the noise, if you don't put your hand to your ear and pay attention, you'll miss the message. With God, it's the same thing. God acts in silence, but we need to create that silence within ourselves first. Now, come here. Have you noticed how we keep waiting for things to change out there, but don't change anything in here? Like wanting to lose weight, eating pizza every day, and complaining that the gym doesn't work. Doesn't make sense, right? True transformation begins inside, in the way we see life, people, and especially ourselves. Many people live waiting for a miracle to fall from heaven, but don't realize that God is already working in the small things of daily life. That friend who called at the right time, that job opening that appeared out of nowhere. That book that fell into your hands. It may seem like coincidence, but those who have faith in Jesus Christ know there's no such thing as chance. God heard your prayer, even if the answer didn't come the way you expected. It's like planting a seed. You don't see anything happening for days, for weeks, but down there in the earth, the roots are already forming, and when you least expect it, life sprouts. And look, this is the great difference of someone who truly understands what it means to have a deep spiritual life. It's not about having all the answers. It's about trusting even when you don't understand anything. You know that moment when you're driving at night on a dark road and the car's headlight only illuminates a few meters ahead. You can't see the complete destination, but you keep driving because you trust that the path is there. Faith works like that. You don't need to see God's entire plan for your life. You just need to take the next step. And each step taken with faith is one step closer to the transformation you seek so much. The tears that God sees are not in vain if one of them is being transformed into strength, wisdom, purpose. It's like the process of making a diamond. It needs a lot of pressure, a lot of heat, a lot of time. But in the end, what was just a piece of coal becomes something valuable and brilliant. God sustained me in so many moments that I couldn't even imagine how I would get through, and He will sustain you too. Presentation of the parable The Sewer. Jesus was a master at telling stories that stuck to people's souls. He didn't speak with complicated terms or with that elaborate language that nobody understands. On the contrary, he used everyday examples, things that everyone knew, and one of the most powerful stories he told was about a man who went out to sell it. Seems simple, right? But wait until you see the depth of it. This sower took his seeds and began to scatter them across the land. But not every seed fell in the same place. Some fell by the wayside, where the ground was hard and beaten. Others fell among rocks, where there was little soil. Others still fell among thorns. And some, finally, fell on good soil. Same seeds, same sower, but completely different results. And then you might be thinking, okay, but what does this have to do with me? It has everything to do with you, my friend. Because when God speaks to the heart, the way you receive this message makes all the difference. Let's think about the seeds that fell by the wayside. You know that person who goes to church, hears the sermon, even thinks it's beautiful, but the moment they leave, they've already forgotten everything. It's like watching a good movie but not paying attention because you read on your phone the whole time. The word goes in one ear and out the other because the heart is too distracted. The ground is so hardened by the worries of daily life, by bills to pay, by problems at work, by conflicts at home, that there's no room for anything to take root. It's like trying to plant a tree on asphalt. It simply won't grow. And then the birds come and take the seed away. In spiritual life, these birds are the distractions, the doubts, the negative voices that take away from you what God was trying to plant. You are not alone. God is with you. But if the heart is closed, even God respects your free will. He doesn't invade, He invites. Now, think about the seeds that fell among the rocks. These are interesting because at first they even sprout. The person receives the word with enthusiasm, gets excited, promises to change their life, starts praying, reading the Bible, participates in meetings. But then comes the first difficulty. Could be an illness, a financial loss, a betrayal, a disappointment. That's it. They give up. Why? Because there was no deep root. It was just emotion of the moment. It wasn't conviction. It's like that person who starts working out in January, posts photos at the gym, buys new clothes, but by March has already given up because it's too hard. True faith isn't about always feeling like it. It's about persevering even when you don't feel like it. When everything seemed lost, that's precisely when the root needs to be strong to sustain the tree. God heard your prayer, but He also knows you need to develop spiritual resistance. It's like strengthening a muscle. Without resistance, without challenge, there's no growth. The rocks represent precisely those difficulties that will either make you give up or make you grow deeper roots, and there are still the seeds that fell among the thorns. Look, This one we need to pay a lot of attention to because it's the most common nowadays. The person even has faith, even believes in God, even prays from time to time, but lives suffocated by the worries of the world. It's bills to pay, it's overdue notices, it's pressure at work, it's complicated relationships, it's anxiety about the future, it's comparison on social media. The thorns keep growing, and suffocate what God planted. It's like having a beautiful little plant at home, but letting the weeds grow around it until it can't breathe anymore. God saw your pain, He knows you're struggling, but if you don't pull out those thorns, they'll consume all your energy. Think about it. What good is it to gain the whole world and lose your soul? What good is it to conquer everything materially and live empty inside? The thorns are seductive because they seem important, they seem urgent, but in the end they're just stealing the space from what really matters. God acts in silence. But the thorns make a lot of noise, and we need to learn to silence that noise to hear the voice that truly matters. Hope and transformation. Now comes the part that moves us most, the part that brings real hope, the good soil. After talking about the hard paths, the rocks and the thorns, Jesus finally talks about the seed that fell on fertile soil. And you know what happened? It didn't just sprout. It bore fruit, some 30, others 60, others even 100 times more. That's real transformation, my friend. It's not that half-hearted result. It's not that temporary change that only lasts until the next difficulty. It's abundance. It's multiplication. It's full life. But here's the detail that many people miss. The good soil didn't appear out of nowhere. It was prepared. It was cared for. It was worked on. Nobody plants in land full of weeds, full of stones, full of debris and expects to harvest something good. First you clean, plow, prepare the soil. And that's exactly what God wants to do in your heart. God sustained me through so many transformation processes that seemed impossible. But He never gave up on me, and He won't give up on you either. The great news, the news that can change everything for you today, is that no heart is a lost cause. You know that terrain that was too hard. It can be softened. Those rocks that prevented the roots from growing, they can be removed. The thorns that suffocated everything, they can be pulled out. You're not obligated to remain the way you are. When God speaks to the heart, He brings with Him the power to transform. It's like those home renovations we see on TV. The before is horrible. It seems hopeless. Everything's broken, dirty, abandoned. But then a competent team comes in, starts working, and a few months later it becomes another place. Unrecognizable, beautiful, functional. With God, it's the same thing, only even better, because He doesn't just renovate the exterior, He transforms the interior. He changes the essence, changes the way you think, how you feel, how you react to situations. Faith in Jesus Christ isn't about bureaucratic religion. It's about a relationship that transforms. Look at a practical example so you can understand better. Think of that person who lived bitter, full of anger, complaining about everything and everyone. Everyone avoided them because it was too heavy to be around. But one day they had a genuine encounter with God, understood they were living like land full of thorns, and decided to change. They started praying every day, not those memorized and mechanical prayers, but open-hearted, sincere prayers. They started reading texts that edified, listening to messages that brought life, staying away from toxic environments and people who only pulled them down. You know what happened? In 6 months, that person was someone else. Their countenance changed, their way of speaking changed, the peace was visible. People started asking, "What happened to you?" And the answer was simple: God heard your prayer and started working from the inside out. This is real, this happens, and it can happen to you too. The tears that God sees today are the seeds of your transformation tomorrow. But pay attention to something important. Transformation isn't instant magic. You know those ads that promise lose 20 pounds in 7 days? Lies, deception. The truth is that real change takes time, requires dedication, requires you to participate in the process. God won't do everything alone while you stand still waiting. He plants the seed, but you need to water, you need to care, you need to protect. It's a partnership. You are not alone. God is with you, but He expects you to do your part. It's like learning to play an instrument. The teacher can be the best in the world, but if you don't pick up the instrument and practice every day, you won't go anywhere. When everything seemed lost, when you thought there was no way, that's precisely when God is preparing the soil of your heart for something greater. Heaven is silent, but God is acting behind the scenes of your life. Trust the process, have patience, and you'll see the abundant harvest that lies ahead. Call to personal reflection. Now stop everything you're doing for a moment and come with me in this reflection. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath and ask yourself sincerely, what kind of soil have I been? You don't need to answer me. You don't need to answer anyone. This answer is only yours and God's. But it's important that you be honest with yourself, because transformation only begins when we stop pretending everything is fine. Could it be that your heart has been hard, like that beaten path where nothing can penetrate? Could it be that you've been receiving things from God with excitement, but at the first difficulty you already give up, like those seeds among the rocks? Or could it be that you're suffocated by the thorns of anxiety, worries, materialism, comparisons? When God speaks to the heart, He's not trying to condemn you, He's trying to free you. It's like that doctor who does exams, not to scare you, but to identify the problem and be able to treat it. God saw your pain, and now He's showing you where the root of it is. You know what's most impressive about this parable? It's that Jesus isn't talking about bad people versus good people. He's talking about temporary states of the heart. You could have been good soil in the past and be full of thorns today, or you could have been hardened path and be becoming fertile soil now. It's not a definitive sentence. It's an invitation to constant change. Think about it. How many times have you started well, but in the middle of the path got lost? How many times have you had beautiful moments of connection with God, but then went back to old habits? This is normal. It's part of the human process. The problem isn't stumbling. The problem is staying down. God sustained me through so many falls that I've lost count, but what matters is that He always extended His hand to lift me up, and He's extending His hand to you now too. The question is, will you accept it? Will you allow Him to remove the rocks, pull out the thorns, soften the hardened ground? I'll give you a practical exercise that can change everything. Get a notebook or open your phone's notes and make 3 columns. In the first, write what has hardened my heart. It could be hurts, traumas, disappointments, bitterness. In the second column, write what has prevented my roots from growing. It could be lack of persistence, giving up easily, wanting immediate results. In the third column, write what thorns are suffocating my spiritual life. It could be addictions, toxic relationships, overwork, social media, financial worries. Be specific, be honest. There's no right or wrong. There's only your truth. And after you write everything, read it out loud to God. Say, Lord, these are the areas where I need your help to transform. You are not alone. God is with you in this process. God heard your prayer even before you opened your mouth, but He wants you to actively participate in your own healing. It's like physical therapy. The therapist guides, but you need to do the exercises. And here as a truth that few stop to think about. The quality of your spiritual life determines the quality of your life in all other areas. You know why? Because everything starts in the heart. If the heart is at peace, you deal better with problems. If the heart is connected with God, you make wiser decisions. If the heart is clean, you can see the opportunities that God places in your path. It's like cleaning your glasses suddenly, everything becomes clearer. Faith in Jesus Christ isn't a separate compartment of your life, it's the foundation of everything. When everything seemed lost, when you saw no way out, what sustained you was exactly this: the certainty that there is something greater than circumstances. The tears that God sees are not wasted. Each one of them is molding you, preparing you, strengthening you. Heaven is silent, but God is acting in ways you'll only understand later. So ask again, what kind of soil do you want to be from now on? Closing, we've come this far together, and if you're reading these words now, it's not by chance. God has a special way of putting the right messages in front of the right people at exactly the right time. And this parable that Jesus told over 2,000 years ago remains alive, remains current, continues transforming hearts to this day. Because truth doesn't age. You know, it only reveals itself in different ways for each generation. And for you today, this message came with a clear purpose, to show you that you can choose what kind of soil you want to be. It doesn't matter how you were yesterday. It doesn't matter how many times you VA tried and failed. What matters is the decision you make now. When God speaks to the heart, He doesn't look at your past with judgment. He looks at your future with hope. God saw your pain. He knows every battle you faced, and still He believes in you. More than that, He's investing in you, planting seeds of transformation every day. Now comes the most important part of all this. Knowledge without application is worth nothing. It's like having an instruction manual to assemble furniture and leaving it stored in the drawer while the pieces remain scattered on the floor. What good is it to know that you need to prepare the soil of your heart if you do undo anything about it? What good is it to identify the rocks and thorns if you don't make the decision to remove them? This is the turning point, my friend. This is the moment when you stop being just a spectator of your own life and become the protagonist. God heard your prayer, but now He's waiting for your action. It's like that saying that goes, God helps those who help themselves. It's not that He only helps those who wake up early. It's that He helps those who move, who take initiative, who participate. You are not alone. God is with you, but He won't live your life for you. He'll walk by your side, but you need to take the steps. So I challenge you now. Look at your life with courage and ask, what do I need to change starting today? What relationship do I need to end because it's pulling me down? What habit do I need to abandon because it's suffocating my peace? What routine do I need to create to cultivate more of my spiritual life? It could be waking up 15 minutes earlier to pray. It could be replacing that series you watch before bed with edifying reading. It could be seeking professional help to deal with traumas you've been carrying alone. Faith in Jesus Christ doesn't mean you'll stand still waiting for everything to fall from heaven. It means you'll move with the confidence that God will honor every step of obedience you take. When everything seemed lost, it was precisely the small decisions that made the difference. God sustained me not with great spectacular miracles, but with daily graces, small and constant. And that's how He'll sustain you too. God acts in the silence of your daily choices, those decisions that no one sees, but that build character and prepare the ground for great harvests. And look, if this message touched you in some way, if you felt it was exactly what you needed to hear today, don't keep it just to yourself. Share it with someone who also needs this transformation. It could be that discouraged friend, that lost family member, that colleague who is suffocated by worries. The tears that God sees are not only yours, they're from thousands of people who are fighting silently, waiting for a sign of hope. And you can be that sign. Heaven is silent, but God is acting through you, through your words, through your transformation story. So subscribe to this channel, activate notifications, because this journey is just beginning. There's much more deep knowledge, much more liberating truth, much more transformation ahead. And I want to walk with you on this trajectory of becoming the best version of who God created you to be. May the soil of your heart be fertile, may the seeds sprout with strength, and may the harvest be abundant. God bless you, and until our next encounter. So, did you make it this far? Then now comes the question that won't go away. And now, what are you going to do with everything you've learned? Because, look, knowledge that stays only in the head doesn't transform anything. It's like having a treasure map stored in the drawer and never going after the treasure. You just received one of the most powerful truths that Jesus taught, a truth that has the power to completely change the direction of your life. But if you close this message and go back to the automatic routine, to life on autopilot, to the same old mentality, nothing will change. Absolutely nothing. So I ask you, what kind of soil are you going to choose to be from now on? Will you continue with a hardened heart, letting opportunities pass by? Will you continue giving up at the first difficulty? Or will you make the courageous decision to become good soil, prepared, fertile, ready to receive what God wants to plant in you? Think with me, a year from now, where do you want to be? Still trapped in the same bonds, in the same frustrations, in the same cycles that lead nowhere? Or do you want to look back and say, it was worth it? I changed, I grew, I was transformed. Because the truth is this: you have the power of choice. God gave you free will. He won't force anything. When God speaks to the heart, He whispers. He doesn't shout. And if you don't stop to listen, if you don't make the conscious decision to change the soil of your heart, life will continue the same. God saw your pain, yes. God heard your prayer, yes. But now He's waiting for your response. Not a response in beautiful words, but a response in action, in attitude, in real transformation. You are not alone. God is with Ubud. You need to take the first step. What will it be? Let me ask you some more provocative questions, those that move us. What have you been allowing to suffocate your spiritual life? What thorns do you need to pull out today? What rocks do you need to remove to allow the roots to grow deep? And more, who do you need to forgive to soften that hardened heart? What destructive habit do you need to abandon now? What toxic relationship do you need to end? What excuse do you need to stop using? These questions are uncomfortable, I know. But it's this discomfort that generates change. Faith in Jesus Christ isn't about being comfortable, it's about being in constant transformation. When everything seemed lost, it was precisely the willingness to change that opened the way for something new. God sustained me not because I was perfect, but because I decided to be fertile soil, willing to grow, willing to change. And you, are you willing? Look, if this message impacted you, if you felt it was exactly what you needed to hear today, then don't stop here. Subscribe now to this channel and activate the notification bell, because this is just the first of many deep truths we're going to explore together. There's much more powerful teaching coming, much wisdom that will help you continue growing, transforming, becoming the best version of who God created you to be. God acts in silence, but He acts and He wants to continue working in your life through these messages. The tears that God sees today are the seeds of your victory tomorrow. Heaven is silent, but God is acting, preparing, molding you for something grand. Don't give up now. Subscribe, activate notifications, share with those who need it, and let's go together on this journey of transformation. The good soil you're going to become will produce fruits that will bless not only you, but everyone around you. God bless you richly, and see you in the next video.